You give me peace and mercy. I give you control. Like a river of life. You're like a river of life in a dry land. Like a flicker of light to a blind man. I saw the glorious light as it broken. God of mercy and light. Oh, you brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of life, living in my heart. You're the living hope. You're the risen Christ. You restored my soul. Oh, you brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of life, living in my heart. You're the living hope. You're the risen Christ. You restored my soul. Oh, you brought me back to life. You did. You brought me back to life. Oh, you brought me back. You brought me back to life. Lord, you brought me back to life. You are the resurrector. You conquered the grave. You pulled me from the water, free from the chains, and risen to live. Like a river of light in a dry land. Like a flicker of light to a blind man. I saw the glorious light as it broken. God of mercy and might. Oh, you brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of light, living in my heart. You're the living hope. You're the risen Christ. You restored my soul. Oh, you brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of light, living in my heart. You're the living hope. You're the risen Christ. You restored my soul. One more time. You brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of light, living in my heart. You're the living hope. You're the risen Christ. You restored my soul. Oh, you brought me back to life. You did. You brought me back to life. Yeah, you brought me back. You brought me back to life. You brought me back to life. 1,000 times I failed, still your mercy remains. Should I stumble again, still I'm caught in your grace. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. My purpose remains, the art of losing myself in bringing you praise. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. My heart and my soul, I give you control. Console me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside you've been given. Storm is passing by like the sun as you learn to sing. Every color can be unwise. Woven into a wave of beautiful sound. Open the heavenlies and shake the ground. Change the world through your hand. Let all the creatures sing praises over everything. Colors are meant to bring glory to the light. Voice is my favorite, and we become a tapestry of our head. No one will ever be forgotten. There's a place for us to end. So let all the creatures sing praises over everything. Colors are meant to bring glory to the light. Let all the creatures sing My one desire is to worship you. I live to worship you. I live to worship you. To worship you, I live to worship you. I live to worship you. We don't need words for this. Whoa, you know. Whoa, here I come. It's been a while, but hear my heart cry. To worship you, I live. To worship you, I live. To worship you. To worship you, I live. To worship you, I live. To worship you.
live to worship you.
Let's just sing that to the Lord. Let him hear your voice. He knows your voice.
To worship you I live. To worship you I live. I live to worship you.
Let me set it up for you. A speaker, he gathers all these people from different races and genders and whatnot, and he puts them all on a starting line. And he says, I'm going to make some statements. And depending on whether you say yes to that statement or no to that statement, I want you to take a giant step forward or a giant step backward. This is to explain privilege. So he makes a statement. If your parents ever had to work more than one job to support your family, take a step back. If you have been discriminated against, verbally, physically abused because of your race, your ethnicity, your appearance, your mannerism, take a step back. If the primary language spoken in your household is not English, take a step back. So you see all these people stepping back, and then all these people who are just staying at the front of the line. And then he said, if you felt that you've had really good access to good food and health care, take a step forward. So a group of people move forward. If you don't worry about whether you're going to get a job after college, take a step forward, and a group of people move forward. And the people moving forward are not the people that have been moving back. So he goes on and he makes a lot more statements. There are a lot of them. But he's showing how some people start off life ahead of the game. And some people start off life behind the game. Now, we all got to go through life. But some people start way back. Because they have these hits. Hits like not having your father with you while you grow up in your home. That's a hit. Step back. Hits like if you don't have enough money in the bank to carry you through 6 months of being laid off, take a step back. But rewards like if someone in your friends' connections, your family's connections can give you a job, take a step forward. So, I won't bother to tell you who are the people who ended up at the very top of the race and who are the people who ended all the way in the back. The thing is that in this life, some of us start way behind and some of us start way ahead. That's privilege. That's how the world sees it. And when I was looking at the results, because when I took the test and I answered the questions for myself, I stepped back a lot. I was raised by 2 teenagers, and my father left the household very early. So I had sporadic parenting, and it affected me. I admire some of the mothers in here because they're so on their kids. Don't let anybody touch their kids. And I mean anybody. Not the people in the neighborhood, not the people at school, not the people in the family. Ain't nobody gonna touch my kid because my kid is just that special. I admire you moms that like that. I get so tickled at that. And yes, I'm speaking to that corner over there. I love how much you celebrate your children, how they're so much the focus of your lives. And the reason I love it is because I didn't get that experience. So I appreciate it when I see it happening. For a long time, the things that I stepped back on made me feel like there was something wrong with me. That my life was so hard because, and the way society would see it, I took a lot of steps backward. I had a lot of hits, a lot of challenges to overcome. But I want you to understand something, folks. How the world sees you as privileged and not privileged is not how God sees you as privileged and not privileged. Because I said, God, it's kind of depressing to have all these things that I have to step back and still have to deal with life. I was born a woman. I'm black. I'm overweight. I said, you know, Lord, I can take a few steps forward if you don't mind. All these instances and circumstances and things that I've had to deal with in my life, and you all have things that you have had to deal with, have made you sometimes feel like, yeah, really, Lord? This is hard. Why did you make me so? Like the clay saying to the potter, why did you make me so? Why wasn't I born on the front line of privilege? With very few challenges and all the gates open to be privileged. I made you to be purposeful. I didn't make you to be privileged. I made you to be purposeful. He said, I have a purpose for every one of those step backs. I have a purpose for every one of those step backs. The world says, we can't use you because you step back a lot. But I'm telling you, every time you step back, you did something that I can use if you turn it over into my hands.
Amen.
One of the statements was, if you have a college degree, step forward. So in the world's eyes, that's a big deal. It is a big deal. I worked hard for my college degree. Let me tell you something. I've been in ministry over 20 years, and not one person has been helped by my college degree. Let me tell you something. I was an abused child. I was bullied because I was an overweight child. And what that caused in me was sensitivity to people who have been overlooked, who have been abused, who've been left out. In 20 years of ministry, every year of my life, that experience has been useful. That's what I mean about the difference between privilege and purpose. The world wants you to look down on all the things that you have had to experience in your life. But God says, not so. Life, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. To save, heal, recover, build up, strengthen, and encourage many. So don't look at the hand that you have been dealt and say, Lord, this is a lousy hand. That's how the world says it. But God says nothing in my hands, God's hands, is a lousy hand, but you got to turn it over to me. See, if you keep holding on to it yourself, you're going to just keep saying, this is lousy, this is terrible, look at all the things that are against me. How am I going to get through in life? Why did you do this to me, Lord? Why don't I have this? And why don't I have that? And how come I don't get these opportunities and these breaks and whatnot? If you just keep it in your hands, that's how you're going to look at it. But when you put it in God's hands, He will turn it into good. I can talk to people who have a chronic disease because I have diabetes. I know what it is to struggle long term with things. Nelson and I talk all the time about our weight issues. I know what it is to be in despair and depressed because things are not healing and your body is not responding. And you get weary. My scars, my step backs have made me sensitive to people. They have humbled me. And they made me want to advocate for people if I can. If I can help you, I will try my best because I've been there. I know what you're going through. And when you say, I'm weary, I'm tired, I know what you're going through. You're not talking to a privileged princess. You're talking to a purpose princess. So don't look at what you've gone through as a negative. Turn it over to God and let Him show you what He can do with it. You can finish well in this life, in God's eyes, in God's ways. and they had their breasts removed, and some of them are just out front. This happened to me, and I'm not going to hide what happened to me. Because through this, I became stronger. I wished it had not happened to me. I wished it had not happened to me, but it did. So I can hide from you. I can hide from life. I can dig a hole and put myself in the hole and never come out of the hole. I can just stay down there and say, woe is me, this happened to me. Or I can come out into the sun and say, you know what? I may have taken a licking, but I'm keeping on ticking.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
With the help of God, I will overcome this. I will survive. This does not define me. I experienced it, but it is not who I am. It does not define me. I am not defined by a crime. I am not defined by abuse. I am defined by God. And he said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Hallelujah.
I am a person of purpose no matter what I go through. God will use everything about you, everything you have gone through. Paul had a thorn in his flesh. We don't know what it is. He often talked about how he went to the Lord and begged the Lord, pleaded with the Lord, Lord, please take this thorn out of my life. And God said, no, my grace is sufficient for you. The thorn had a purpose. Because Paul was so great. He was so smart, so accomplished. But that thorn, he couldn't get rid of it. And the purpose of that thorn on this great mind, great activist, great evangelist, what was the purpose of that thorn? It was to humble him, to keep him approachable, to keep him human. Paul, no matter how much he got puffed up in his head, the Lord is showing me everything in the seventh heavenly. He's telling me revelations. I can't even control how much revelations. And I'm traveling around the world and spreading the gospel and inspiring. Follow behind me. There's no male human born in after Jesus that's greater than me. And God gives him a thorn. So he keep his focus. Yes, I have made you very great, Paul. And yes, I have humbled you too. Because you still have to depend on me for grace for today. God can use everything that has happened to you. Everything. Don't look at it the way the world looks at it. Look at it through God's eyes. I want to talk about the relationships that you have experienced in your life. For years, I joked and I said, are you sure I was born in this family? Was I kidnapped or something? Did they change the tags at the hospital and, and sent me home with the wrong family? What? How did I get, the Beverly Hillbillies? How did I get these ghetto people? That's how I saw them in my head. How is it normal for me to visit because they were not Father Knows Best people. I love looking at all those wonderful family-friendly comedies as I was growing up. You know, I love, the Waltons. For some of you that's really dating me, but y'all don't have a reference. But, every night they say, "Good night, Grandpa." Good night, Marianne. Good night, Joe, John Boy. Good night. I never had that. I never said good night to my brothers. I don't know what time they came home, if they came home. So the standard I was gauging my family by was affecting how I saw them. And how I saw them as very ghetto. And I didn't want to be bothered with all these ghetto people. I'm telling you what I learned late. Your family has value. I don't care who they are. Your family has value.
Amen.
Some of you have been looking down on your family like I look down on my family. Oh, God. The only time I'm going to see them is at the funerals and the weddings. And even then, I just started a new job, so here's a card. Because they just too much chaos. One time I went amongst my peoples. And I was dreading being around them because I know they're a whole bunch of chaos. And this is how I saw them. Y'all are just a bunch of chaos, and I'm just going to shoot in and shoot out and go back to my same world. I don't know, I must have had 3 conversations with some of my family members where God gave me the opportunity to witness to them, to pray for them, to encourage them. These bums that I didn't want to be around. I didn't know that God had a purpose for me to be around them. He said, "Florida, guess what? You're the light of the world." "Yeah, Lord, I'm the light of the world to the world." He said, "No, Florida, you're the light of the world wherever I send you. And I'm sending you amongst your peoples. Because you know what? They need your light. They need your spirit. They need your encouragement. They need your strength. They need to know that there's somebody who talks to them about God. You have a purpose. And by the way, stop calling what I have called my people that I have died for, stop calling them ghetto. Stop calling them ghetto. I hear you, Lord. As Jay said here earlier, guys, the mission field is not in here. We've already been convinced. But we have a purpose to be the light of the world out there. And if you keep looking down on the people closest to you, your relationships and all their issues, and you don't see that they need the Lord, then open your eyes. Open your eyes. You serve a purpose. You have a purpose. Wherever you are, whoever you are around, you are the voice of God in that situation. You are the voice of prayer in that situation. Even if you can't talk to them or tell them about God, when you hear the things and the chaos that they are dealing with, you can pray. You can lead that generation. But you got to see them through God's eyes and not through the world's eyes. Are you getting what I'm saying to you? and love your neighbor as yourself, but your neighbor is often your family. I know that some of us have had circumstances happen to us that have been traumatic. And they have left you feeling ashamed and feeling a failure. I want to remind you again that everything you have gone through, God can use, no matter how traumatic it is. I was traumatized by my uncle. And several times in my life, I've had to help someone survive and overcome and let them know there's life on the other side, in spite of that trauma that happened to me. Nothing is wasted in God's economy.
Amen.
But God wants you to understand that He doesn't want you to glorify what happened to you. He wants you to see it through His eyes, to see a broken world, to see broken people, to see even your own brokenness. And He wants you to have compassion, not only for the world, but also for yourself. Because sometimes we beat up on ourselves for what happened to us. I did. For a long time, I was like, why wasn't I protected? You knew how crazy this guy was. Why did you let him be alone with me? Why? I focused so much on why it happened to me and why other people could have did what they could have did to not let that happen to me, that I forgot until I was much older to understand that this world is full of hurt people. And you know what hurt people do? They hurt people. And I had to learn forgiveness at a deep level. When you've been traumatized by an adult, you have to learn forgiveness at a very deep level. And you know what? You're going to come across people who have been traumatized. And you can tell them, yes, you can forgive. Yes, you can forgive. But you don't know what they did to me. No. You don't understand. You can forgive with the help of the Lord. I've told you, the same uncle who abused me when I was 5, when I was 45, I preached his sermon, his going home service. I'm standing over him, he's in his casket. I remember everything this man did to me. And I had to tell the people, my relatives in front of me, I had to give them an encouraging word about his life. And you may say, well, how in the heck could you deal with that? God.
Straight up.
God. Because I didn't see this powerful man who did all this corrupt stuff. I saw somebody so broken, who had had stuff done to him and passed it on. Because that's what usually happens. Abusers abuse and it becomes generational. He had been abused as a child. So that wall had been invaded. So he wasn't as sensitive to my walls, my boundaries. And God had to show me his brokenness. God will use everything. But you have to turn it over to him. He wants to make you sensitive to his people. He doesn't want you to be a prince or princess of privilege. He wants you to be a child of God. And children of God know what it is to go through. But they don't just go through. They have victory in their situations.
Amen.
Because you turn it over to the Lord, he can change anything. Because guys, you have a choice. With everything that's been dealt to you, you have a choice. And that choice will change the outcome. You have a choice. You've been insulted or harassed or neglected or abused or whatever, but what's your choice? You can react to it. What you give to me, I'm going to give it back to you. Or I'm going to stay away from you. Or I'm going to seek God about it. What do you want me to do with this, Lord? Do you want me to walk away? Or do you want me to be the voice of peace and healing and restoration and deliverance and forgiveness in this circumstance? What choice are you instructing me to do? Because you have a choice. Whatever's been dealt to you, you have a choice in how you respond. Now I really am high. You have a choice relationally, financially, spiritually, physically, in all these areas. You have a choice to just react, to despair and make it worse, or go to God and say, Lord, I bring this to you. Give me instructions on how I can get better. Heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. This person is responding this way to me, and I'm upset about it, and I want to walk away from this relationship. But not my will, your will be done, Lord God. What do you want me to do? First Corinthians 4:1 said, let love be your highest goal. Ephesians 3:17 says, I pray that Christ will live in your hearts by faith and that your life will be strong in love and be built on love. Oh, Lord, I don't want to love them. Do you want me to love you, Florida? Because I can show you things, because I know you. I can show you where you disappointed me. I can show you where you hurted me. I can show you where you didn't live according to my standards. I can show you where you needed my forgiveness, Florida. Should I have said, you know what, Florida, I don't want to love you. But I will give you grace. I will give you grace. I will help you to do my will. You don't have to struggle to do this. I told you, when I preached my going home sermon, it was not a struggle. I had peace in my heart because God helped me. He helped me to forgive. And he helped me to move on. And he helped me to see my uncle in all his good, bad, and ugly. And I could encourage his children. And I could encourage my family. And I could encourage the generations that come behind me that this man had worked. My mother was in the first row. She loved her brother. And it broke her heart what he did to me. But she never stopped loving her brother. And for a long time, I was angry with her because she continued to love her brother. I was like, how can you forgiveness. Yes, you may have to do some things to protect your babies, but love heals. Love forgives. Love overcomes. Be wise, but still be loving. Be healed in the name of the Lord. Thank you. Stop the hating. Because one day you're going to be at that funeral and you're going to be looking down at that person who was good, bad, and ugly. And you're going to have to look at your heart like I did. What was the legacy I wanted to say about my uncle so that my mother remembered something great about him, something good about him, something worthwhile about him? His children are sitting there. My mother is sitting there. All our relatives are sitting there. I have a choice. I can say this dirty, whatever he did, blah, 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 and I hate him. But why did his children ask me to preach the sermon? There are other pastors and preachers and whatnot, especially down south. Everybody preaches. But they saw something in me whenever they were around me. And I stopped avoiding them and allowed my life to be touched by them and connected to them. They saw something about me. They saw a light. And they wanted that light to be there. To remind the family that no matter what my uncle was about, he was a valuable human being who made some mistakes, but he still had value. And I want you to remember that. Don't make the choices, some of the choices he made, but you know what? There were these great things about him. I remember my uncle, when I was able to heal up enough from some of the things, I remember that he loved to laugh. I remember that he had compassion on animals. I remember how he and my mom would dance all their lives, into their 50s and 60s. They would dance. And how much joy that gave both of them. The Lord started to show me more than his trauma. The Lord started to show me his person. I'm not asking you to excuse what people have done. I'm asking you to give it to God and let him direct your steps on how we as a family are going to move past this in a way that respects everybody, that's wise, and that's loving. Because it's all about the healing. What time is it?
Yeah, good morning.
Did you say 10 after?
Yeah.
You may have to ask Jesus to help you every day with the things that stress you out and the relationships that stress you out and the choices that are in front of you. God is there. Guys, depend on the Lord. Talk to him every day and ask for his grace and his help. And ask him to control you so you don't get in the way. This is how how you win at the game of life. Be that light, but first, let the Lord heal you. I've said enough. Let's close in prayer.